They say I go hunting, so of course I'm hunting. This is an update on a previous story. It is your boy Zell May for the I'll Be That News. And I got another story for you. Bob Iger roasted for calling Hollywood strike demands unrealistic. Not much is unrealistic when you make $27 million a year. That's referring to how much Bob Iger makes a year. Because now, it's an update, the actors are on strike. All movies are almost canceled from right now. Before the writers were, so any movie in the writing portion was canceled. Now the actor portion is also on strike. Now you can't, but no actors, you can't do a movie at all unless the movie's in post production. So all your favorite movies might get delayed, even though so many of them are so far off it don't matter. By the way, I do praise Bob Iger more than Bob Chapek because Bob Iger is way better than Bob Chapek. But let's see how wrong or right do I feel Bob Iger. Disney CEO Bob Iger sat down for an interview Thursday morning and started trending immediately after he said that the WGA and SAG, Writers Guild and the Screen Actors Guild, conditions were just not realistic, and that the prospect of a writer and actor strike was very disturbing. Iger comments was on a historic day that when SAG is expected to announce they are joining WGA on a picket line after their Wednesday contract negotiations deadline passed without a deal. It'll be the first Hollywood double strike in 6 years. Also notable for content, Iger's comments arrived after his Disney contract was extended for an additional 2 years. Sky-high executive salary had become a lightning rod during the WGA strike and the rallying cry on social media as CEOs. The lack of self-awareness in the business never ceased to amaze me, actor Anson Mount said on social media in response to Iger's Thursday comment highlighting Iger's exec pay. Speaking of C-suite pay, Iger's interview was also set across the sprawling pastoral landscape of Sun Valley, Idaho, where media's biggest mogul gather for what's liquidly been dubbed billionaire summer camp. Well, if nothing else, Bob Iger giving this quote to CNBC Squawk Box from Sun Valley is putting Hollywood satire writers out of business, the Blacklist founder Franklin Leonard quipped on Twitter. So basically what this is that Bob Iger is saying it's unrealistic. Another quote I saw he actually said was that, I don't know if he quite said it, but that he was like, listen, they'll come to work when they get home and rents need to be paid. That's the feeling of a lot of these people. When rent need to be paid, it'll be fine. We don't lose no money. If we start filming, we ain't got to pay nobody. So when they come back, we start paying people. Guess what? We don't lose money. Again, in this bankruptcy world, rich people win. They still have billions of dollars. The CEOs still get paid. They still have to run day to day. But the actors, if they don't work, they don't get paid. And if, like I said, if business go down, they just file bankruptcy, and then the business file bankruptcy and don't have to, and pay out the salaries to the CEOs and COOs and the execs they like, and don't pay nothing else to anybody else. And then they go off to the sunset without having to pay anyone else what they were due. And they just have bad credit for 7 years. But if I have $5 billion, who cares about credit? Now, about the overall situation, the writers, people can argue that the writing hasn't been good in films, that the acting for most part haven't been good in films, and the people that act great gets paid great, and the no-name actors don't. Is that a fair assessment? I don't know. Y'all answer that in the comments. So depending on what you think is good, who is to say what's good? Now, if it's not buying and not selling as much, film is not doing as good. Outside of Netflix, nothing else is profitable. Disney Plus is $1.1 billion down the drain. And I'm nowhere near telling you Disney's went broke, because Disney is not broke. Their parks well make far enough to exceed anything of going broke. Their movies make far enough to exceed going broke. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 made almost $800 million. Spider-Man, and that's just on the film, not including action figures, not including video games, not including character models, not including all the other stuff they sell. Spider-Man, the new Spider-Man, Disney gets everything but the movie. I think they get even percentage of the movie, not much. Don't get much. But they overall get percentage of any action figure of Miles Morales. Anybody did $900 million? So they get that money too. They are in a good place in terms of money. Disney Plus just sucks. And this is my thing I think they could do to make it better. And this goes into Disney Plus too. Instead of spending $150 million on Secret Invasion, which you can't. I think you can only have what? I think Bob Iger said they only going down to 2. They're only going down to 2 Disney Plus shows. Instead of like the 4 they were doing, which all 4 would be $100 million. Then they're going to cut down on 1 or 2 Star Wars, which cost the same thing, $100 million. So I'm like, hey, listen. Why don't you just give $5 million to random writers, producers, directors at guilds and stuff, and say, hey, here's $5 million budget. Produce me some, and if you produce something great, you'll be on. You'll be on. We'll give you a serialize you, pay you more money, do all that. Instead of trying to make these big blockbusters, keeping VFX artists down the drain, they're out here struggling because you got all these ridiculous deadlines with all these shows, spending all this money, and ultimately no one can accomplish anything because it's so silly on how you set everything up. But if I give you $5 million, $300 million budget over 3 years, 5 million plus, that's 60 shows, 20 a year that you can put out to different producers, directors, writers, everything, on people that are trying to get in the business. They can spend they can spend the way they want, do their own thing. And then all of a sudden, guess what? You might not like the movie. It might not be your cup of tea. The acting is delusional. Sounds of freedom. Just imagine, this is from a business perspective. Imagine how many people would have actually went and bought Disney Plus to see Sound of Freedom up. Of course, you put in the R-rated section in which you have to use your parent ID thing to do it. But just imagine how many people do it. And then let's just imagine if like 50 Cent first years on Stars, and you remember how bad it looked with Power? Just imagine you get a hit with Power. You find a young black director who come up with a story like Power. Then all of a sudden you got all the black people funding it. And all of a sudden you got 3 million people spending $11.99 a month on your product. Put something good on your ESPN Plus. Then all of a sudden you make money. What did I say? $11.99 for like what, 3 million people? That's 33 million. All of a sudden that 1.1 billion, you took away 500 million, you're making a surplus of 200 million, you're probably breaking even. That's what Netflix did. That's why Netflix is the only profitable thing. HBO Max is second. But HBO Max also put on a lot of lower budget shows instead of making everything a hit. And then you say they're unrealistic. This needs to be unrealistic. Now you're making cuts off your unrealism. That's what I'm saying. But it's made for rich people to win, so they don't have to think. It's no consequences. Now, do you agree with the actors or writers? Sometimes it depends on who writing and who acting. But this is not worth any money. Y'all should not get paid. Then sometimes like, pay that man all this money. So I don't know how to judge off that. They call me a fence sitter, so I'm sitting on the fence on this. Let me know what y'all think. Like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, all that. Peace.